Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. The show is brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/Opperman Report and get yourself a free audiobook. Tonight we're here with Larry Lawton, the author of Gangster Redemption. And he's also the founder and the president of this organization called Reality Check Program to help young people not go to prison. So now, Larry, we were just talking about, boy.
What we were talking about, of course, in prisons, and I don't know what we were talking about, Ed. That's a good one.
Okay, you forgot to. Okay.
Well, Ed, let me ask you a question, Ed.
Yeah.
How is the show? I mean, do you get a lot of people from overseas here?
Oh, yeah. Don't worry about that. Scotland, England, Australia, the UK, Ireland, big, especially this part right now that we're on right now. A lot of people overseas, for sure.
Oh, good. I hope they understand where I'm coming from when I'm talking about the prison system and how broke it is, and like we were talking about the prison system in Dannemora, and when they got out and they didn't have a plan, and how they corrupted the guard or the guards, and I still think they corrupted more. And just the information that is out there now with that Dannemora, with Clinton Correctional Facility, what has happened in that whole case, Ed, is they're going to find out that they relieved 12 people now.
Today, yeah.
Yeah, 12 people have been relieved of their commands or whatever post, because they give out information. But what I was telling you earlier before the break, Ed, is, they're in prison with us. They're in there for 8 hours. We're in there for 24 hours. Well, they should have never been able to do what they did, because they go through cells, they shake down cells, and there was just such a breakdown in the whole way. But, Ed, a lot of the guards in there look at them and say, not all these people are bad people, and why should I treat them? Because you're trying to make a guard have no heart, and I don't think you can do that. I don't think they're going to end up getting enough employees to do it, and they don't pay enough. And these people have a heart, and they look at a kid who's in there, and, this is what I was saying right before the break, Ed. So on national shows like CNN, Fox, MSNBC, NBC, everybody was talking about, I want to see that David Sweat get the same treatment. He should be killed. Well, I went on TV, Ed, and as you say, I don't, follow mainstream. I said that is disgusting. I said, we don't know that maybe David Sweat was getting raped by a guard every day. I'm not saying he was or wasn't. I'm saying we don't know what was going on in that prison. And it's pretty sad when people are out there saying, let's kill him. Oh, he should be shot. I hope he gets it. And I'm talking commentators on national shows are saying that. And it kind of made me mad. I mentioned it. I was pretty mad at an announcer, and I'll say it. His name was Michael Skrmanish. I like him. He's a CNN Michael Skrmanish, something like that. Michael something Skrmanish or something like that.
Okay.
And he was saying that, maybe guy should have been killed, and maybe he'll get killed the same way. I really got mad about that. We don't know what happened in that prison. We don't know what was going on with David Sweat and the abuses he might have been taking. Like, I got abused in prison. I was strapped down naked, beaten, tortured, and pissed on by guards. So don't say it doesn't happen. It happens.
Well, Geraldo Rivera said, he was glad that the first guy, Matt, got killed because it saved us the time of a trial, because he's guilty anyway. And then they said,
when we become the judge, jury, and executioner for every case, why don't we just say, I caught a guy and, he raped somebody, so let's just kill him. It is proven so many times. First of all, the guards, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. And then they say, I caught a guy and, he raped somebody, so let's just kill him. It is proven so many times. First of all, the guards, they don't know what they're doing. 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 It is proven so many times. The United States is a terrible country when it comes to this. We're one of only, actually, we were one of only 8 countries up until a few years ago that we executed our youth. So don't even talk about how our system is broke. But who are we to be judge, jury, and executioner? It is proven that the death penalty, 1, is not a deterrent. Number 2, that there are people who were executed wrongly. There's been too many exonerations on death row to prove to me that there's not mistakes out there. And when we're taking a life, Ed, I don't believe in the death penalty. I lived in prison, and I think it's bad enough. Look at Jeffrey Dahmer. He was a prisoner, obviously crazy, 8 people, and he got killed in prison. It's not a great place to live, Ed. It's not a place where you're getting, like they say, like you said, people think it's club fed and we're treating people great. It's not like that, Ed. So people need to get that out of their mind. It's more of a torture to live in prison for the rest of your life. I don't know how they do it, and without having a date.
Well, even still, the death penalty is one thing, but to shoot a guy in the back when he's running away, okay, he's a prisoner. Okay, fine, he's a cop killer too, whatever, But and then to cheer that on and say, well, it saved us the time of a trial.
Well, that is just terrible. And just like you said, I mean, I get it about this guy, shooting him because he was running away and he was who he was. I mean, I'm not mad about that. I am mad about how we take it cavalier to just, first of all, that's a whole topic we can get into, cops pulling guns. But in this whole place, people are cheering a person's death is really not what I think the United States should stand for. And I just think it's terrible. I'm really proud of the people in Charleston who lost those people, and they had the heart of forgiveness. And I don't know if I could have did it, but that shows a better country than the guys who were cheering a man getting shot in the back of the head and holding him up like a trophy. When it was on TV. And it kind of made me really sick, just because nobody really knows what's going on in prisons. And I think, how would you like to be cheering that man's death and then find out that he was being raped and tortured every day by a guard and he had to get out of there? How would you like to find that out? You really wanted to cheer his death then? People need to stop and they really need to stop and start having a heart.
Well, Larry, how about this? Because you and me, we grew up in the Bronx, and you in Brooklyn, and me in Staten Island later on. So in our teenage years, we used to go to keg parties and go out and smoke pot in the woods, whatever, do little stuff, little stuff. And, the cops, you get into a fight with a cop, a fist fight, you got into a fist fight with a cop. Nowadays, you get into a fist fight with a cop, they shoot you and everyone says it's okay.
Ed, I was just saying this the other day. As bad as I was as a kid, the cop never, ever pulled a gun on me.
Yeah, right.
Not only that, I know cops who were on the job for 30 years and they said they never pulled their gun. No less shoot it.
And now they shoot a kid unarmed. Not a kid, 18-year-olds, whatever. But they shot a guy unarmed, and people say, well, it's okay to shoot that guy because he fought with the police.
Right. No.
What the hell?
You're breaking open a can of worms with me. I was teaching a police class. I taught a police academy. I'm an honorary police officer. Let's get that straight. That doesn't mean I do not like bad police.
Yeah.
I think they are so bad for it. I think we need the police because if my house is getting robbed, I will call 911. I won't call 411. My point is, but the cops today need to realize that they are part of a community. It should not be us against them. I call it the Napoleon complex. You give a guy a gun and a badge. And here's what's bad about it. When we give untrained people who are not stable a gun and a badge, they have the authority to take another man's liberty or even life under the color of law. And that is what I think people all over the world are looking at the United States and really shaking their head. And that people want to know why we're not the leader of the free world anymore. It's because of issues like our prison system. It's because of issues of like what's going on with the police and shootings. And we have such a polarized political system that doesn't want to even stop that. And we are leading the world in the worst things. And that's infant mortality now is way up, school shootings. I can go on. And I won't be bashing because I'm an American, even a prison American. But my point is we can improve and we need to.
Now, what do you think about these guys in Dannemora? Do you think they really tunneled out of there?
Do I think they? Oh yeah. Oh, do I think it happened the way it did? Yeah. Obviously, yes. I think it happened just the way they got out. I just think they didn't have their plan set up for getting out. I think, it's sad because, it's funny, Ed. I have a newsletter that goes to about tons and tons of people and all over the place. And anyway, I had people saying they were rooting for these guys. As bad as they were, they're rooting for them. What that shows me is how broke is our system when people are still rooting for the bad guy like that. And people say, oh, no, they're rooting for them because they realize, they know how bad our system is. Too many people today have friends or family that are incarcerated and they are not being treated right. Let me tell you why that's so important today. Have you ever noticed in the last two elections, in 2008 and 2012, national elections, not one major candidate said we need to be hard on crime? You're not hearing it now either. They're saying we need to have more rehabilitation, fix the system, fix the criminal justice. You know why? Because with 2.3 million inmates, in a study, Ed, every inmate equates to 4 votes. Let me explain that. Me, Larry Lawton, in Florida, has an extended family and friends, and I might equate to 30 votes. In other words, if you came out being hard on criminals and prisoners, you're not gonna get 30 votes from the people who know me. Well, there's other people in prison who have nobody, whether it's an illegal alien or whoever it is. So, but they did a study, Ed. It's 4 votes per inmate. With 2.3 million people incarcerated, that's 9 million votes. That will swing any election. Presidential election was decided by 5 million votes. So with that many people incarcerated, you're not hearing about people saying we need more prisons. They're saying we need to fix the system. But sadly, we have a polarizing party that doesn't want to fix the system. And they want to have more private industry and private prisons and private medical care, which is so wrong when you're talking about incarcerating human beings and the citizens of this country.
Not just the private medical care, the private food service, and the private...
everything.
Yeah.
Well, it's privatization. They actually have private prison. It's called Horizon Medical Care. Then they have Corrections Corporation of America, CCA, the biggest private prison company. They actually come and they take over prisons, and it's all... they're paying guards $10 an hour. You want to know what's going on in that prison? Shit, go there.
Now, what about just trying to make a phone call out of prison?
Well, it's hard, and the phone calls are monitored, and it costs a lot of money.
How much?
That's another part. It cost an inmate $3.75 for 15 minutes.
Yep.
Think of that. It cost that man, $4, so it's $12 to talk to them. I mean, they don't have money. They're not working. They're not. And who do you think it costs? It costs the family who want to hear his voice, who have to send him money. It's such a snowballing effect that we don't think about, again, rehabilitation. We just think about money and incarceration. And the United States is failing miserably. And I'm willing to say that to anybody.
Now, what about in the old days when you were in there? You could make a collect call and then do a 3-way phone call to your friends. And
that stopped when I was in.
Yeah.
That, you're talking way, way back. But, that stopped. When I went in 96, Ed, it had it where you can do collect calls, but then that ended pretty much in 98 or 99. And then the phone system came to this very monitored. Then they had it where you could keep on the phone until someone got killed. So now, once you make one phone call, you can't make another one for over an hour, even if you're in the area to make phone calls. So they made it where one guy stayed on the phone and kept calling, and
right.
Somebody came up and wanted the phone, and he killed him. So, I mean, it's a place you don't want to live at. I often say that, and I know that's what you do, and you try to keep out of there. So I think we all need to do that.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, we're taking calls. Speaking of calls, you don't have to collect. Larry Lawton's taking phone calls, 702-605-4894, or you can Skype in at ed.opperman. And if you have some questions or comments you want to share with our friend here, Larry Lawton, who's the author of
Gangster Redemption.
Gangster Redemption. I was about to say it. I had to take a breath. Okay, man.
Ed, you're my age. You can't lose it now.
Okay, and reality check program. So, Larry, how about the recipes, man? What kind of recipes you got for us while you're there in prison?
I make one dish to this day, Ed.
I know it.
I make a dish called prison pasta.
Okay.
I used to cook it for about 10 wise guys. It would be garlic and oil, and I would take garlic and I'd cut it up with a little razor blade, and I would I'd cook the garlic in the microwave with olive oil, and depending on what I wanted, if I cooked the garlic a long time, it would come out like chips, and it would be like almost like almonds, and water taste. Or I'd cook it softer, and then I would take pepperoni and put pepperoni on paper towels and put them in layers in the microwave and cook the pepperonis until they crunch them up like chips, like bacon chips, but pepperoni chips. And I would put that with a can of chicken, and I would cook in a bowl, Ed. We used to get a paint bucket, a 5-gallon paint bucket. We'd cut it down, and I would cook it with a stinger, Ed. A stinger is 2 pieces of metal close together and with like a little piece of wood between them, like not right between them, you know what I mean? Like a little like rubber grommet in between them. And I would actually put rubber bands together on that, and I would put electrical cord to each one of those pieces of metal. Now, of course, the metal's not touching.
Yeah.
You would put that in water, Ed, plug it in, and I could boil water quicker than you could on a stove. And I would make the pasta in that, and I would put, we'd steal pasta out of the kitchen, and so we'd make pasta, and aglio olio, and I would make aglio olio with the bacon and the garlic and the oil and a can of chicken. I used to make that dish about every Friday. I used to even feed the guards, and that's why I could tell you about corruption and whatnot and everything else that goes on in prison, of course. But that was my favorite. This guys would make so much stuff in microwaves. There were magicians in a microwave.
It's funny because I've done a million interviews with witnesses in prison and stuff like that. And you got to bring quarters down. And you go to the machines, you give them all kind of stuff, and then they bore you to death with these recipes. Okay. They go on and on with their recipes, with their concoctions in the background. And how about they would get high too on they would like sugar dump all this stuff with sugar.
No. We used to make wine all the time.
Oh, how'd you make the wine? Go ahead.
Oh, you take, we used to, in Atlanta, we were making 30 gallons of wine every week. And then we would cook the wine off and make actual white lightning, Ed. What we did was you take wine, you take fruit, oranges or whatever you get out off the commissary, or even juice, as long as it's the juices. You put it all in a bag, and then you put sugar in there. It's usually like a pound of sugar for every, I think it's a gallon, a pint of sugar for every gallon. And we put the sugar in there and put a little yeast, get yeast from the kitchen, or even a piece of bread, and you cook that off, Ed. After the acid in the citrus in the oranges and stuff you'd make alcohol. I could then literally take about 6-7 days, depending on the heat, where we put the wine in the whole prison, behind washers, drywall, at different places. Now, once that cooks off, Ed, we would have wine. Now, we would sell that wine for $5 a neck or a quart. It's called a neck, but quart of wine. And we'd, talk about rock gut. But then what we used to do is we used to take some of that wine, Ed, and we'd cook it. We'd put that stinger in there in a bag, and in the bucket in a bag, and then put the stinger in there and boil the alcohol out of that bucket. And the alcohol would come up on the bag, condensation would come to the bottom of the bag, and we literally would make white lightning where you can put it on fire. Wow. Now, the bad part of that is you give a lot of alcohol to a bunch of people in prison, guess what happens? Fights and stabbings. So, but that is what prison is about.
Now, wait, you had to stab a couple of guys, right?
I stabbed 2 people, and I've been stabbed twice.
Okay, now, when you stabbed somebody, did you get caught? What happened?
Actually, I didn't.
Okay.
And let me tell you, I have to tell people, they think they're tough guys, that it's not easy to stab someone. You are hyped up. You are scared. You are, it's not just I'm going to go up and stab someone. I'm going to call them. I'm stabbing them. You stab people for reasons, whether you're in fear for your life or protect yourself. And so I ended up stabbing one guy's street and didn't even tell on me. And I was chasing him upstairs. It was over something. I had to do it, or I would have looked bad, and I would have gotten in trouble and maybe stabbed myself. And this other guy on a prison fight on the guard that I did. And then I got stabbed as well. No, it's not, I look at that, Ed, and if I would have stabbed someone and killed them, I would be in prison for life. So I think a lot of things happen for reasons. Me being here today is, I am lucky. So I do believe that.
Now, a lot of guys in prison, they find religion. That never happened to you?
No, I'm not a religious person, I told you. I'm a spiritual person. I do believe, and I've read the Bible 5 times cover to cover.
Okay.
I've read the Quran 3 times cover to cover. I've read the Torah. I've read Buddha. I've read all the books.
Yeah, so have I. I've read all those books as well, yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I did it is because I was in a hole.
Yeah.
And now, I don't take any one of those books literally and say everything in that book is 100% true. I think it's a great way to live your life. I think there's a lot of good in it, in all the books. But I don't believe in literally everything that goes in it. I don't think God is looking down at me saying, oh, he's doing this or he's doing that. I think as a spiritual person, I think you live your life and you treat people the way you want to be treated. And that's what I think everybody should do.
Now, what about, because now you were in there for 12 years or 8 years?
No, I was in there for 11 straight years. I had 4 12-year sentences concurrent for Hobbs Act racketeering under the RICO Act by way of armed robberies.
Now, when you come out, your wife and your kids, what happened with that?
Well, there's no such thing. 95% of people in prison, the divorce rate of prisoners who do time more than 3 years is 95%, Ed.
Yeah.
Actually, the divorce rate for people on the street is 50%. Now you turn in and you have no money, no intimacy, no communications. You might as well forget it. I have no hard feelings against my ex-wife, of course, or anything like that. She is who she is. We're friends. She raised my daughter. I am close with my 2 kids. I wish it could be always closer, but I consider myself pretty close with my kids. But it hurts, it hurts when you lose their life. And it's all because of your own, what happened to me, Ed, was all due to my own fault. So I can't blame, the system did that to me. I don't do that. I disagree with that.
Well, one thing I could say, though, is that if you have 5 years in prison, that's you have the presumption of the loss in the divorce and custody. It's grounds for divorce, and the other side wins everything. No?
Well, as far, there was no. I had a good, relationship,
right?
And we all parted on good ways. I think. Listen, I think the sentencing structure is pretty messed up in our system.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody, without any violence, if you don't kill somebody, you don't rape somebody, I don't think anybody should get more than 3 years their first time. Now, hear me out. I don't care if you sell 5 kilos of cocaine, get 3 years. The second time you do something, you give them 7 years. Now, day for day. Now, you get out of prison. After that, you've done 10 years inside already. You're already getting older. You do another crime, barring no violence, no anything else, you get 10 years. That's 20 years incarcerated. You're too old to do a crime after that, Ed.
Yeah.
So I think our system is giving kids. I know a kid getting out. He got 27 years in prison, Ed, for robbing 2 banks. He got $3,000. Now, that's just BS. We don't need to be ruining that kid's life. He was 19 years old. He's not getting out until he's 43 years old. He's got to do 20 years. So, that's just wrong. And giving that kid 3 or 4 years to open his eyes and like you said, make him a productive member of society, paying taxes. Instead of being a burden on society, he could have been a productive member of society. And now the odds of him making it when he gets out are a lot higher. You know, it's higher because he's incarcerated for so long.
You know, so true. Here in Nevada, you know, any kind of money crime in a casino is 10 years. It could be the stupidest little thing. You know, like you put a little slug in the slot machine. You know,
that's crazy. And I think, you know, is that where you're located, Nevada?
Yeah, I'm in Nevada. I'm in Henderson, Nevada, about 11 minutes away from the Strip. So.
Oh, pretty nice. I come to Vegas. I'll have to come on live sometime.
Well, live, yeah, it's my apartment, you know. Like,
good.
You know, but definitely, well, I definitely hang out, man. That's for sure. You're a fun guy. But now, we definitely have some conversations off the air, a little different than the ones on the air.
I'm sure, you know, we have to keep it clean here.
Yeah, because, you know, I actually worked on a Persico case. I worked on one of his, the Carmine Persico cases, the one where he got all that time for, he was already in prison. But he got that time for, like, waving to a guy in a diner because they alleged that he was involved in this loan sharking scam.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
But now, and also, too, one of the offices I worked out of, too, we found that bug in Castellano's house, too, back in Staten Island, back in those days.
Oh, yeah. All right. You're talking about with the maids right there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. So we definitely know a lot of the same people, I'm sure.
Oh, I guarantee we do.
Yeah. You could talk about penny feathers, forget it. But now,
yeah.
Describe, though, in prison, like a lot of people have this fantasy that in prison, all these guys are pumping iron and everyone's giving each other hard looks all the time. There's a lot of old, beat-up guys in prison and a lot of young kids in prison, too. Like, what about those guys, the quiet guys that are kind of like just beaten down?
Well, you know, actually, those are the guys I feared the most. You know, there's a lot of posturing. Like I said, there's drug dealing and gambling and stuff. And some of the saddest things you see in there is there was a guy, Ed, that used to come to mail call every day. And it was really sad, Ed, because he would come in and he'd come up to the mail call and they call him by numbers. And never once did I see him get a piece of mail. And it was kind of sad. It really broke my heart. He'd shuffle on back to the cell and read a book. And every day he came out to mail call. And not once in 2 years did I see him get a piece of mail. So it was kind of sad. You know, you see a lot of sadness. There's a lot of broken down people. There's no weights in prison, Ed. That's such big. I was in prison when they took weights out of prison. So, and in the federal system, there's not one piece of iron. So that's all BS. They don't even have pull-up bars. They don't even have dip bars. We used to do dips on the edge of railings, and we used to do pull-ups on the edge of a tier. We didn't do them, you know, on a dip bar or pull. They don't have that in prison.
Right.
That's such BS. I got in great shape, Ed, by doing 1,000 push-ups and 1,000 crunches in an hour, or 50 minutes, really. And I did massive amounts of stuff like that, and handstand presses against the wall. But I did it all myself. And, you know, I never took a drug and never took a steroid or anything like that in my life.
Oh, that's a good question, too. Now, what about guys in prostitution in prison? Are there guys in prostitution that aren't female hormones?
Oh, there's prostitution. There's man prostitution in prison all the time. I mean, that's going on. There's lovers. There's marriages, if you want to call them that. But there's, you know, everything is happening in prison. It's a society in and of itself, Ed. And don't think they're a weak person. I know a man. If you call him a faggot, and he's with a guy in prison, he'll kill you. You know, he will kill you just for you saying that he's a faggot. And he might be with a man, but you call him a faggot, he will kill you. So things happen in prison that are crazy. Guys I know would pimp themselves out for drug money. You know, different gangs, they would have sex with different men for drugs or for whatever. And, you know, the currency is currency. Stamps is the currency in prison, actual currency in the prison, but they also have what they call street-to-street money, which is people would have your family send me money, or your family send this address $200 or $300 and stuff. And that's how shakedowns happen in prison. And that's what happens in prison. But yes, Ed, I saw many men have sex for money or drugs in prison.
Well, do you think there's more involuntary rapes than there are men that give up themselves for prostitution?
Well, you're talking about consensual sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. It's there every day. I mean, you can't put two men together and eventually whatever happens, happens. But yeah, no, it's a lot of, the rapes happen too. You hear of them, you hear people scream. They do happen. But there's consensual sex and there's, coerced sex, stuff of that nature. But the prison, they came out with what they call the Prison Rape Act in 2004 came out, and they're still finding out that rapes are happening at a common level. Even rapes, Ed, by guards.
Oh yeah,
that happen.
Oh yeah. Which I think is way more common because here.
Let me tell you this: 1 in 10 kids in prison get raped by staff.
Yeah.
1 in 10 kids. So juvenile prisons, 1 in 10 are getting raped by staff. So that to me is something that's really a part that's what do two men do? I could care less. What when you're dealing with kids, it pisses me off.
Now, what about you hear about all this stuff about people say that when pedophiles and stuff like that go to prison, that there's this kangaroo court. And their lives are made miserable. Did you find that?
Yes, depending. I was one of the guys, actually it's in my book, that used to pull the paperwork. Okay. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. In prison, you can't have your paperwork. So what would happen, Ed, is let's just say, for argument's sake, you came to prison and you were 20 years old. If you're charged with that you had sex with a 16-year-old, we wouldn't even care. We gave that what they call a pass, or that's not really a rape to us or a sex charge. Now, if you're a 40-year-old man and you had sex with a 12-year-old kid, you were in trouble, and we found that out. So it's just a different level of the crime. But we understood that 20-year-old, 22, screwing around with a 16-year-old, 17. That's very hard for anybody to say, oh, that's a rape. And we had our own prison rules, if you want to call it that, own prison standards. So, and I just think that's the way it should be. I think when they starting to grab a kid who's 18 who had sex with a 16-year-old, I think that's so wrong. I mean, I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but don't tell me that's rape. When they've been dating, all of a sudden she's mad at him and says rape. That's not right.
Well, we're getting down to the last 25 minutes of the show. Is there anything I've left out that I haven't asked you about?
Well, Ed, not really. I mean, we talked a little bit about my program, and I just want to emphasize what it is.
Okay.
The program is really geared for anybody from 11 and up that wants their young person, wherever country, wherever they're at. I do a lot of speaking. And people can, they can hire us to go. I speak at events, and there's ways we give out what they call cards with my video on them. My video is $35, but we end up selling the cards for $5 to groups that want to help kids in their area, help police. So, and I do the speaking tour. So we bring my program into an area, Ed, and we end up, either speaking at a school, speaking at a youth center, speaking at PTAs. So if parents are out there and they're listening and they want to bring what we are and how we open kids' eyes to the choice. The key is to open up. I get a connection with kids, Ed, because of where I'm from, because of my credibility, because I didn't rat, and I'm not a cop. I tell them, Ed, I'm not your mom, I'm not your dad, I'm not a cop, I'm not a counselor. I'm a man who's been to a place you don't want to go. And that's important.
So when you go to you do these appearances, it's always you talking, or do you have other people that work for you too to do it as well?
No, it depends on where it is, Ed. And if I go to an area, they might have somebody local come in as well, and I'll be the keynote speaker and come in. And I actually do my program, Ed. I will do my program in a 2-hour spot and actually do the whole program. And I show people in prison I show people who've been raped. I show my program is broken down into 4 parts. And my life, what prison is really like, not what you see on TV, what you're going to lose. My wife, my kids, money where it don't matter, my parents, all the sad things. And then the last section, Ed, is very important. It's called Avoiding and Dissolving Bad Associations. I can make that section 5 minutes or 20 minutes, and I usually make it very short because they usually get it by then, Ed. And we have survey systems, and we have ways to report back, and they can talk to us. So a parent or a group or a company that wants to bring me in to help their employees is very powerful. Now, how many of your employees do you think have kids that are messing up? Probably a lot. They can't concentrate on work. So they'll bring me in, and we do a whole program for their staff. And in the meantime, I will talk to the CEO's kids privately or the COO or whoever it is. And we do that, and I'll come in for a day. So there's ways to get what I do into an area. And sometimes police agencies will pay for it, corporations will pay for it, a city will pay for it, different organizations, maybe a hotel in Las Vegas, something like that. So.
Now, how'd you work out that deal with where you got the honorary police thing?
Well, let me tell you, it's a long story. It's not a long story. What happened was they were looking for people to help them. And, I had to be very cautious of who I put my name to attach as well, Ed.
Right.
So I had to make sure that police department is very, very proactive. Let me explain what I mean by that. I don't work with a police department that is very in your face, let's arrest everybody and throw the key away. The police department I work, they give awards out, Ed, for the people who speak at the most schools, the people who change flats of the citizen. They don't give out the awards for the most arrests and the most DUIs. They give out awards for the guy who coaches on Little League. They give out awards for people who are community-minded, not people, Ed, who are just out to, I'm the cop and here's my badge and all that kind of stuff. So I had to vet them as well as they vetted me, to find out my program. The chief of police, what a great guy. He actually been a chief of police for 24 years. He's been in law enforcement for like 35 years. And he is an amazing guy, and he is so community-minded. And he actually came to Florida to vet my program as well. So we had a good process of both connecting. I won't work with a department that is very, like I won't work with certain police departments in Florida that are just, just want to arrest everybody and throw the key away. That's not what policing should be about.
Yeah, or like in Ferguson, it was like they had arrest warrants for like 1 out of every 4 homes. It was just insane what's going on down there.
Well, and I blame everybody. I will always start with blame to the leaders of law enforcement. And what I mean by that is, it's those people who have to get out and connect better with the citizens. What I mean by that, Ed, it's the chief of police has to set the standard. If the chief of police tells everybody, listen, do not bother these people for a joint or don't do this for that. Why don't you go out and I'm giving out awards for the guy who can change the most flats from an old lady. You know what? You're going to get your officers changing flats. But if you tell them, I'm giving out awards for the SWAT team and the arrest and the most arrest and you're going to get bad arrests. You're going to get bad policing.
Yeah, but Larry, in a place like Ferguson, where the whole the income for the city was based on these tickets and the violations, and all right,
well, yeah. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, I know.
And that is disgusting to me when they're little departments. But then I blame them again. Ed, because they can find money. They can get grants from the federal government. There are ways to spend their money better instead of new guns or new belts or new mace cans or this. Why don't you spend your money on private programs that connect with the citizens better? Why don't you start connecting with the businesses in your area who want to pay for these things so you can give them more protection and make them look better? They'll work with you if you work with them. You are the police now, and people appreciate that. But you, as the chief, have to initiate that. You are the one who has to set the standard. And if it's not the chief, then fire him. And the city manager should hire a guy who's got the mindset of the community. And I don't mean just the people in the rich area that just do certain things. I'm talking about the whole community. When you talk Ferguson, you're talking about a police department that had 3 African Americans and a 60% African American population. That just don't make sense.
The school district had 0 African Americans. Not even the janitor was a black guy in Ferguson.
Well, that's just being insensitive or not caring, and I think it happens because you'll end up finding out, Ed, that they get lazy, they get complacent, nothing is happening, and these police chiefs got to realize. I totally believe. I think they hire the wrong kind of mentality. They're hiring the guy who's got the ribbons for shooting and SWAT team and this. I think if they hired more school resource officers, I call it the cops that are walking the beat, make him realize, he's the one who's always dealing with the community. He realizes how special the community is. He's not in a bubble. And I think I blame, again, you got to go all the way to the top. Either blame the people who are hiring these chiefs and the people, and hire the right one. That is the key. And you know what, Ed? You never hear about them firing the guy. Right. Listen to me. They need to fire them. You can't tell me all of them are doing their job. Fire them. If you're a CEO of a company and this guy's not doing his job, and listen, the chief that I work for, or, I actually help and not work for him, even the criminals in that area like him. So my point is he knows how to communicate, and he's always out there. And listen to this award. He was on his way home, and he saw one of his officers changing a flat of a lady. The officer didn't even see him. He didn't say anything. A week and a half later, in front of the whole city, brought the guy's wife down and gave him an award. Everybody's wanting to change flats in that city. That, to me, is just positive connection with a community. That lady goes home and says, what a nice young man. He helped me. How many cops ride by people who are stuck on the road and don't do anything?
So,
Ed, I look at it this way. The last time you were stopped by a cop, do you remember it?
Oh, yeah.
What did he say to you?
Well, here in Henderson, they are so incredibly rude and so incredibly isolated from the rest of the community that it's nothing. And I'm from New York City, from Staten Island. Nothing I've ever experienced before in my life.
Now, Ed, I gave a class to the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and I said it like this. If a cop stops somebody on the road, take you or me, they're coming up to the car and saying, license and registration. You know what you did wrong? How about going up to that car and saying, excuse me, sir, are you okay? I'm going to look at him like, what? He's going to say, sir, you didn't put your signal light on, and the reason I stopped you is because we have a lot of accidents when a person doesn't put their light on. I'm not going to give you a ticket. I just wanted to tell you, are you all right? Because I don't want you to get in an accident. I would leave that scene and say, oh, my God, what a nice guy. Instead, license and registration. You don't know how to use your signal light? I look back and I said, what an a-hole. That's not the way policing should be, Ed. Policing should be about positive stuff. It should be about not an us against them. It should be a community. It says protect and serve. They've lost the serve part.
Larry, I live in a really, really nice neighborhood, man. There's parks here. This is a safe neighborhood, man. I grew up in the Bronx. I grew up in Staten. I don't lock my doors. I don't lock my car door. Nothing like that. I had a headlight burn out. I get pulled over. A second cop car is pulling up behind me. This is not Compton. This is a safe town, man. And yeah. And I'll tell you something else too, man. The cops here in Henderson, Nevada, they shot the ice cream truck lady who sold my kid ice cream when she was 5 years old. This was like a 60-year-old woman, not even 90 pounds. So that's the kind of situation we're living here.
Oh, my God.
Yes, man. Look it up. Look up Henderson, Nevada, ice cream truck lady shot by police. And that's what we're dealing with here.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we see her husband all the time, too, man, because he was driving an ice cream truck, too. And we see
that is terrible.
My kid was 5 years old. Here, Vic, here's $1. Go buy some ice cream. That's the first time she ever bought ice cream from an ice cream truck. And that woman's shot dead right now. Just like we were saying.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you, man. And just like we were saying before, like your old friends, people you saw in prison, they're still there right now. You and me find that we're living in air conditioning. We can get a glass of water, go up and go to the bathroom, But these guys are there right now,
Wow, that is just that's just.
I know, man. I know. I don't know what it's like down there in Florida, but here it's really, really bad. They even shot. They shot a West Point.
Florida is let me just put it this way.
Yeah.
You hear everything coming out of Florida, and I lived in an area, and I had to move, Ed. I lived in a place called Brevard County, Florida.
Okay.
And it's so bad. I mean, where they would listen. I'm from New York, and I'm an ex-con. I used to say if I was black, they would have shot me already. So we're talking about, where it's just a terrible area. And I really don't know. I had to move because they just don't care about it. They have it's so scary. And it, what are you going to do? But
when we were kids, man, and we were dealing with the cops weren't on these steroids and these growth hormones, and they're not all pumped up like that, and with the bulletproof vest. Back in those days, a cop was wearing a bulletproof vest. He was considered a pussy.
Right.
I know, man.
I didn't know we could say that on a...
Well, we really can't, but we're getting toward the end. You know what I mean? The other cops would laugh at him.
Ed, as a man who's been around and a man who's done a lot in his life, I'm a very level-headed guy. I understand politics. I understand, business. I come from the Bronx like you do, and, Bronx, Brooklyn, and now Florida, and did it all. And I look at people, and what really has shocked me, and I hope your listeners are understanding this, America... I love the TV show, The Newsroom. I don't know if you ever watched it. And it was with Jeff Daniels. It was on HBO, and it was a show. Aaron Sorkin did it. And it's just, I only like it because it showed some of the truths. I love the country. I got a lot of recognition in the United States, but I think we can do a lot of things better. And I just think our heart has gone away from a lot. And I think we are way too much in a us against them society.
Oh, yeah.
I hope other countries aren't like that when I travel. I was accepted in Mexico so big that it was like, a breath of fresh air. And not one bit of me was judged, Ed. So I hope people don't judge the United States on what we are, only saying. Because right now, Ed, you and I are in the trenches. You get guys like me on, you get other people on. And I love to debate, as you can tell. I will debate somebody with numbers and whatever we're doing because I want to see a change for the better. And that's why I do what I do. Because I don't want people to have to go through what I went through and the families to go through what I went through.
Well, then, Larry, let me ask you a question, because we have a presidential election coming up, right? Do you see any hope, any difference between any of these characters running, God forbid, Donald Trump, coming from New York?
Oh, my God.
I know.
Is that amazing?
I know. Because you were around the same time I was, man.
I've been on the Daily Show a few times, and Jon Stewart loves him because he's got great material.
Yeah, right.
You know what? The only one I see speaking his mind as much is Bernie Sanders.
Very good, my friend. Yeah, but I understand he's a shill too. And
absolutely.
But he's the only hope. Yeah. But just to give you an idea,
I just don't see the polarization. Like it or hate it, I'm an independent, Ed, and when I look back, when you had Reagan and Tip O'Neill, they can argue, debate, and then have a beer and get things done. You don't see that today. And I blame everybody. I blame the president. I blame congressmen. I blame them all. We don't see that camaraderie. We don't see give and take. Any man, and I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, and you are always on the Republican side, then you're crazy.
Yeah.
And if you're always on the Democratic side, you're crazy. But there's got to be things that you feel different in one way or the other. So when I see somebody vote 99% this way, then you're just an idiot.
Well, and
either way.
Coming up in New York, doing that stuff in the old days, you paid off both parties. You donated everywhere. I was in the nightclub business, by the way, back in Manhattan, in New York City, back in the 80s. So
not New York, down Florida.
That's where I'm coming from, okay? So we got a lot in common, my friend.
That is very, very, very.
Yeah, and like I said, you paid off both parties, and what are you going to do? And I would like Bernie Sanders myself as well too, but I don't. I think they're going to put him in our face, and they're just.
I agree. I think that's good. Hey Ed, where am I going to be able to hear this? Can we hear it again? Can I pass it around?
Yes. In about a half hour. In fact, one of the first 2 hours we did is already up on YouTube. It's already up on iHeartRadio. And then this last hour we're doing right now, it's going to be up on YouTube and iHeartRadio in about 15, 20 minutes. So
now I can get on there. I can get the links and then blast them to my 50,000 followers.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and have them all click on that where it says skip ad. Have them skip that. don't click on that. Okay.
Oh, you mean there's a link that says skip ads or what?
Well, when you play it on YouTube, if it says skip ad, I don't get paid any money for that. So we want everybody to not skip.
Oh, ad. I got you. Okay.
But we got to do another spot. Yeah, we can do another spot, you and me, in the future, definitely. Whenever you got something coming up, let me know, because I love you.
I'd enjoy that. What we could do is, I got a big thing coming out with that subscription service. Even if we do, an hour or whatever you want to do.
Gotcha.
And if you'd like, I could bring a judge with me and have him in the room, or another person, so we can have a three-way. He could be in the room with me, like I'm doing now, and he could be sitting right next to me. I could hook it up the way that we could both be on with you.
What I would really like
that might be interesting. A judge or like the former judge or the cop, or I could bring them all. Or just a very good. I could bring them on, and we can do it that way. And that might be an interesting show.
I'd always love to get a judge in my pocket. But the other thing is if you can get me one of those contracts, man, to get me one of those deferred programs from the court there, I would love that. That's
me too. Don't worry.
That's what I'm really looking for. Okay, my friend. Hey, we got 5 minutes left. What do you want to promote before we go?
Well, I'd like people to go to the website, go to realitycheckprogram.com. The book is there. The program is there online. You can get it right online and click on it and buy the link. You can, in a month, I'd love to come to just tell you about the subscription service more coming out, and that's going to be on realitycheckprogram.org and .com. It'll all be intertwined. And that's for families. But go on there. We have, I do Skype programs, but I also, you can go on to Lawton911.com under private and group programs, and there's a way to get funds from cities and grants to get me into an area, and I do that. So that might be, something that someone wants to do and bring me in. It'd be a lot of fun. And I open a lot of people's eyes, Ed, as you can imagine. So, and if you get something there in Vegas, let me know, and we can both do it. And
I got you.
Part of it.
We'll do it. Larry, they cannot keep a good Bronx man down.
There you go, buddy.
They can't.
I really enjoyed talking to you, Ed. I really did.
I saw you. I knew right away. I knew we'd get along. And a lot of these stations we're on. Talk Super Station is owned by Diamond Joe, who's a Bronx boy. We got Joe DeTome out there, who's a good Bronx boy. So we're all in the same.
Good. I hope this boy speak to them all. Maybe we'll all get together someday. That'd be a lot of fun.
Thank you, my friend. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you very much, Ed. Have a great weekend. Have a great holiday. And thanks again.
God bless you, man. Bye. All right, man. That was Larry Lawson. I guess maybe a lot of people don't appreciate it as much as I do, but I like guys like that. What can I say? Larry Lawton, Gangster Redemption is his book. You could buy it from his website, and he makes a lot more money from it. Or you could buy it from my website, Opperman Report at blogspot.com, and buy it from me through Amazon.com. I get the commission. So me and Larry are going to cut up the money. I had fun tonight, I got to tell you. You got no idea. I've interviewed so many people in prison or out of prison or back and forth from prison, in my work as a private investigator. And I've heard all this stuff so many times, and I just want to share it with people. Some things I disagree with, about I think there's way more prostitution in prison than there is in rape. And the whole thing about, pedophiles and stuff like that, and dealing with this kangaroo court. I've never seen that either. I think they mostly get along well in there as well. So, but Larry Lawton, great guy, Gangster Redemption. God bless him. I hope good things come to him. And he has that program there called, I forget what it's called. Oh, here we go. Reality Check Program to keep kids out of prison. Okay. That's our show today. Tomorrow, I'm talking to some people tomorrow from the UK that are related to Jimmy Savile, the UK presenter, the pedophile and necrophiliac and all that kind of stuff like that, serial killer, according to Thomas Sheridan. I'm going to be talking to them tomorrow. We'll hopefully get that on the air. Oh, getting down to the last couple of seconds, I'm going to be saying goodnight to Awake Radio. .com and Awake Radio US and Scottish Sovereigns on the Land. All you guys, I love you. Thank you for all your help and everything you do to keep the show on the air. And by the way, too, I'm going to keep talking a little bit more. So if anyone wants to hear that, you can find it on YouTube or Spreaker, iHeart, and those kind of places there, like we always do. Next week, coming up, we have a woman going to be talking to us about Nicole Sheridan's father in the UK and how he's involved with child predator hunting parties. The guy's a pedophile and all that kind of stuff like that. Got a lot of big shows coming up. Good night, Awake Radio, and all you guys. God bless you. Okay, and here we are with the Opperman Report all by myself. Got a couple of minutes here I'll give you. By the way, the after shows, my friends. Got a lot of big stuff going up in the after shows. We just did a show this week with Timothy Homseth about Casey Anthony and Misty Crosling. Those cases. Haley Cummings and Kaylee Anthony. We got information that came out in that has not been reported anywhere. Timothy Homseth is coming back on this week, and he might be bringing on some relatives and stuff like that. He's working on a lot of stuff, some audio clips from recorded conversations. This is about to break the news, okay? If I can scrape up the money to put together a press release, we'll get this out in mainstream media, on the tabloids and that kind of stuff like that. That'll bring attention to what we're doing here, and then we could bring in stuff like we're doing with the Savile case and then the Epstein case and that kind of stuff. So we all need to work together. Another thing I want to point out is that the Opperman Report and Ed Opperman is coming under a lot of attack by saboteurs and all kinds of gossip mongers and trolls and troublemakers. So I need your prayers and support about that. And hey, you guys, you troublemakers and gossip mongers and trolls out there, why don't you contact me directly and we'll talk about this and we'll resolve our differences, okay? Then we can all get along, okay? Because attacking me and trying to destroy me does not help the work we're trying to do here, which I think we all agree is good work. And we've always agreed is good work. So let's put our differences aside and try and focus on the work we're doing and not on personalities and hard feelings and bitterness, okay? Let's try to be adult about this. Also, too, we had a little attack on our... we did an interview with Timothy Homseth, and we had an attack on YouTube where people flagged the video and got the video shut down. Okay, while you may think that you're doing this to harm me and harm my career in radio and all this stuff like that, what you're really doing is sabotaging good work that's going on out there that we're trying to put forth for the people. Okay, that we're working my ass off here trying to do for you. So put aside your hatred of me and your jealousy of me and your anger with me and your hostility with me or whatever, my ego or whatever your problems are with me. Forget me. Pretend I do not exist. And let's just get this information out there to the public and get it to the greater, broader public outside of alternative media. That's all I'm asking, guys. Let's put aside these differences and stop this crap, okay? And let's move forward, okay, which we're all trying to do. You want to have a career in radio? I'm more than happy to help you. Speaking of a couple of things like that, I was just nominated to Radio Inc. magazine as the broadcaster of the year. Okay, great. Good luck with that. Okay, maybe one of you guys out there can vote for me, and I can get some play with that. I'll put up a link on Facebook and my website and the blog and stuff like that, so we can get some action with that. Also, too, I was just named, we had talked about this earlier in the year, that I was nominated for the Top 100 Men of the Year of Las Vegas. I was named the Top 100 Men of Las Vegas. I don't know what number I come out at. I heard there were 99 accidents out there last week, so I may be number one. Okay, but I did, listen, it's an accomplishment. I'm happy about it. We mentioned the radio show. We mentioned some other work I'm involved with and doing here in Vegas. So I'm very happy with that. I'm proud of that. And God bless all that going on with the myvegasmagazine.com, okay? And that will be noted in there. And hopefully we can get some extra juice going to the show here and all the work we're trying to do here for you here. Got some big shows coming up. Whole bunch of big shows. With the burglars who broke into the FBI offices and exposed COINTELPRO. We have one of the survivors from, Waco. So a lot of big stuff going on that we're working on for you all the time. I need help. If someone out there wants to help me out, help me support, I need some help writing up an application and a proposal for a grant for media, for documentary programming, and also for radio, for the radio show. We can get a grant for this, and it's a really good grant because there's only 40 people out there that apply to this grant every year, so we have a really good shot. They have like a 20% approval rating on that. So, guys, a lot of new content up in the OppermanReport.com member section. It's super cheap, okay? You go in there, you sign up, you subscribe. That's what keeps us alive here right now. That's what we're living on, okay? I just did a show about an alleged murder plot involving the Temple of Set. Okay, listen to the recording there, the interview I did with this guy. I think I did a really thorough, interview of this man making these allegations. And I think if you hear my questions, that you'll hear I really got to some hard-hitting questions with this. And that I don't think you'll hear on other stations and other radio broadcasts. Okay, I think I really went to work on this. This is like an interview I would do with a witness in a case. Just did an interview with Timothy Charles Holmseth about Casey Anthony and Kaylee Anthony and Christy Haley Cummings and Christy Gosling, I think her name is. There's breaking news in that interview, okay, that we can get out in the mainstream media, because what my guest conveyed to me is that there is a child pornography video of Haley Cummings that has been turned over to Florida Child Protective Services, and it's disappeared. No one's following up on it, okay? We know about it now. So now we can work on this and get this information out there. So that's about it. Good night, guys. Thank you very much for listening and following what we're doing here. And I thank you all for your support and donations. We had some donations this week to OppermanReport@gmail.com. Thank you very much. We can use some more sponsors. Okay, we got some great sponsors: Mike Gray, Amanda, Pacific West Bamboo, the New World Mexican Women. But we can use some really, really good solid sponsors to take us to the next level here, that we can get the show funded, get me and Vic going here, and get documentary films going. That we have enough of a following and an audience right now that we can sell these documentary video films, and that will steamroll, okay? All we need to do is get the first 1,000 sold, and then we can start producing them all over and over and over and over again. So if you can help me with the grant, or you can help me with donations or sponsorships or memberships with the membership section, that'll get us to this next level where we can really start reaching people, okay, guys? And I think we're all in agreement that what we're doing here is a little bit different than you hear on other stations and other hosts, and even on the stations that play us tonight. I think that what we're doing here is a little different. And I appreciate your support, but I need your help. Okay, guys? I love you all. Good night.